I'd like to cede my time to Steve Ballage, just for entertainment value. Actually, it's great to be back here. With the results that happened on November 2nd, particularly at the state level, pretty disappointing, frankly. And so, as Illinois at the state level, Republican Party in particular, to which I still affiliate, continues to be the bad example. It's nice to come to a place that is the good example, a model of success that needs to be replicated throughout the state. And I had the opportunity to travel all across and throughout Illinois, and I can tell you that what you have here is something that's very special. Because what this organization understands, what the Porters have done, what Steve Ballage and Joe and Gary and everybody here has done that's been involved for the last 2 years that I've been involved in developing a rapport with you all, is that, at the end of the day, 90% of life is putting in the fight for those things that are transcendental to the individual combatant. And you all here are willing to do, frankly, what the Illinois Republican Party has been unwilling to do, which is to at least put in the fight for those values and principles you hold dear. And a funny thing happens when you are willing to breach the gap and put in the fight. You actually start to win. What Vivian said is exactly right. This is about winning elections at the end of the day. This is not about showing or placing. This is about winning. And that doesn't always happen the first time out. If it wasn't for Cedra breaching the gap and running against A.J. Wilhelmi, he would have gone unchallenged. And so you never ultimately get to taking him out if you don't have somebody that's willing to step up and breach the gap. I mean, this whole process, the quality of life that we will or will not continue to enjoy, the economic opportunities that your families will or will not have, is rooted in carbon-based life forms, actual human beings, stepping up and running for office, holding themselves out, so that when they control the levers of power, you have intelligent public policy decisions that are made. I had the opportunity to go see Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of England, speak a couple weeks ago, and a friend of mine was able to arrange it where I actually got to sit at the head table with Blair, and it's pretty interesting. I mean, he's kind of a more engaging, humorous guy than I thought he would be. But one of the stories he told was, in 1992, after the Labour Party in England had lost its 4th national election in a row, one of his colleagues, one of his members of Parliament in Labour, came up to him and said, can you believe this? We lost again? What the heck is wrong with the voters of England? And Blair's response was, at that time, the real question was, what the heck is wrong with the Labour Party? And so when Blair rose to head up Labour in '94, he reinvented and represented the Labour Party in England. He won the national election in '97. The Labour Party over there held power for the ensuing decade. So when we've lost all these elections in a row, and particularly with the incredible opportunity that Chicago Democrats provided us to swing the pendulum back at the state level the way it was done at the national level, and we didn't get it done this time around. The question is not what the heck is wrong with the voters of Illinois. The question is what the heck is wrong with the Illinois Republican Party. And that is not something... And frankly, that is not something that is going to be solved from the top down. There is no one individual who bears all the responsibility, and there is no one individual who is going to show up with a handful of magic beans to distribute, and we're all going to kind of get it right. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is it's going to incubate from the ground up. It's going to incubate where you have school districts and village governments that are models that other school districts and village governments choose to replicate. And let me tell you how important these municipal elections are. It's not just that school officials and village board members and township trustees ultimately largely become our state legislators and our congressmen and even our statewide elected officials. It's also the reality that things in Illinois are going to get worse. They are going to get worse, and make no bones about it. With the same folks in charge that have been in charge for the last decade, this is the direction the state has gone. They were not rebuked, so they feel emboldened, as you've seen the governor say, his mandate for a tax increase and other poor public policy choices that are forthcoming. So it's going to be that much more important that you have the fiscal stewardship at the local level that you are not going to have at the state level. So that, Homer is not just competing with Lockport, but these communities are competing with our neighbors in the Midwest who did get the message when you had governorships turn over in Iowa and Wisconsin and Michigan, and state legislatures turn over in Indiana and Wisconsin and Minnesota, even here as we have failed to move the needle. So your local officials are going to be that much more important because they are going to be your last line of defense against the Chicago Democrats who, are, again, as I said, have been emboldened to continue with the destructive policies they pursue. And the other line of defense, the larger line of defense, is the Tea Party. So there's individual candidates, and then there's the movement. And I think the Tea Party really has an opportunity to really engender a realignment, to maybe get done in 2012, even with the new map, and 2014, what we were unable to get done in Illinois, again at the state level, in 2010. And the reason I say that is a couple-fold. One is the Tea Party has been able to do what the Republican Party could never do, at least not in the 16 years that I've been here in the state with this party, and that is to bring manpower to bear, right? It used to be that only the public sector unions could put 200, 500 people in a hall on a Saturday ready to go out and hit precincts. Well, that's no longer the case because of the Tea Party. And the reason that the Tea Party is able to do that, and the challenge that the Tea Party will face, whether it's in Homer or Lockport or all over the state, is will you hold those people that you elected to the same standards as those people you rejected? And to the extent that Tea Party maintains that consistent application of principle, where it says, I don't care if you're a Wall Street bank or a public sector union, I'm opposed to bailouts, to the extent it does that, it's going to attract, as it has, independence. It's going to bring new people in who are disaffected from both parties and both party brands that really have been destroyed at the hands of each individual party. The second thing, and this was kind of highlighted by what Mike Myers said, which I appreciate, is that the Tea Party has put policy choice over pedigree. So you may have gone to Harvard, you may be a member of Mensa, you may be worth $1 billion, but if you are going to go to village government or to Springfield or to Washington and vote against my interests, who cares? If you're going to vote against my interests, what does it matter to me? I'd rather take somebody who doesn't have the credentials, doesn't have the pedigree, but has a little bit of common sense, and who I believe will vote my interests if I place my trust in them. That is a seismic shift in the conversation, the political conversation, where it's all about, where'd you go to law school, or how much money do you have? And it's really an important shift. And to the extent that we can continue to promote that conversation, you start to change the conversation, you change the dialogue, you change policy choices, you change electoral outcomes. So that continuing to pursue that conversation by putting guys forward who maybe didn't graduate high school, but seem to have a pretty good handle on what should be done at the school district, those are success stories that people want to replicate. That's the direction we need to go. And the final thing I will say, where the Tea Party has challenges that it seems like at the local level you're addressing, and you may not even know it. One of the criticisms, of course, is message is important, but you also have to have some of the right messengers. And it's very easy for Steve's friends in the media to try and caricature the Tea Party, to try and marginalize or trivialize the Tea Party. And when you put forward successful, thoughtful professionals like Ted and like George as Tea Party candidates at the village level and then wherever they go from there, you debunk the myth about the Tea Party being, these kind of banjo-playing hillbillies who don't know up from down. I mean, that's what the media wants to portray them as. But you can't listen to George Porter, you can't listen to Ted speak and believe that to be the case about these folks. And so that's really important as well. So, I'm encouraged to come here, as I always am. I leave a little bit more sanguine about the future of Illinois than I usually come in with, because I, live in Chicago and because I spend too much time talking to establishment Republicans and Democrats and bureaucrats.